Figma Sites was released in Config 2025. It's an incredible update that we want to explore today in depth in this tutorial. I want to show you everything that you need to know, from the interface to all the different ways you can use Figma Sites. Most importantly, for those of you who've been working with me for a while to create a UX portfolio that makes you stand out, we're gonna use that as our experiment. We will use a UX portfolio either starting from a template or your own design of your UX portfolio, and we will see how to publish it and leverage Figma Sites. So to get started with Figma Sites, once it's available to you in a pro account or enterprise, it becomes one more product. Like here, this is the beta version that I'm using. The moment I click on it, few things to notice is, on the very top, the favicon used for Figma Sites is this website, a globe kind of favicon, so you can distinguish it from the other Figma design files that are available. Once you start a new file, it prompts you to create a new website with this model. You can either get started from a template or you can get started with a blank website. The templates that they have are very helpful to get started with, because you will see as we explore a little bit deeper, at least in the beta version, it is much harder to get started from scratch. I tried creating a portfolio from my own design and it was slightly harder because we need to learn how to create the components to become responsive in the best way possible. So I highly recommend that you get started from a template that resembles what you're trying to do. In our case today, because we want to create a portfolio, I'm going to use this template, a personality-driven designer portfolio. If you wanted to preview it in your browser, you can easily click on this link and it will show it to you. And you will see the moment I've clicked on it, already Figma generated for me multiple items in my canvas. Now, before we dive deeper into the portfolio part, let's actually look at the Figma Sites interface and what all is available to us. If we start on the left side here, you will see there is an action panel where there is the Figma icon with the main Figma actions, similar to Figma designs. Same thing with the file name and drop down where you can do different file actions like duplicating, renaming, moving to trash, version history, and this is the location of where your file is, and you can obviously move it. Here is the publish button, which is going to be our main button, but we're not ready for that yet. We'll save it till the last moment once we have a website worth publishing. Here, you would see the web pages section. So all the pages that are created within my canvas exist here. And you would notice there's a dash in front of the page name. So there's the home page, which is the main page, but there's a dash and page name. For example, dash work and dash about. Because if you were to zoom in on this canvas, you will see we have links in the navigation for work and about. So naming those layers of pages with a dash before them allows them to be connected to your main page. And this comes with the template out of the box and should be replicated when we're creating our custom pages. You will see, even if I were to create my own page, it will have that dash naming format in front of it. Under this default file navigation tab, we have the insert tab. And this is a very specific element to Figma Site. This is where you can actually utilize all the amazing blocks that are available to us ready-made in Figma Sites. Mind you, these are not just blocks of design. They are blocks that are coded, that are optimized to be responsive. So for example, if I was not starting from a template, if I just needed an About Me page, I can simply click on it, drag it right here. For now, it inserted somewhere, but if I were to zoom in, you will see this is an About Me page that I can easily customize and I can preview, I can add all my details, but it's a fantastic starter. There's so many of those, including a portfolio page that would come in handy for you if you're creating a portfolio. There's also blocks that are smaller sections like a footer or a header. They would be very handy. Hero sections that could be definitely used on the main homepage or your website. Features, as well as embeds that include things like Google Map and a YouTube video that can be embedded, or a link to your website or URL. The map element, for example, if I was to insert that without having anything selected, you will see on the side In the right property panel, which is very common to all the Figma products, this is where things get customized. So the left panel is always the panel where we can select our layers, but the right panel is where we can customize properties. If you change the details for your map here, once you click preview, you will be able to see it. Now, continuing with the interface itself, here you have a search bar that allows you to search for anything that exists within your file. Right here, even though it's still currently disabled, as you can see, this is the icon for Figma Make. If you're not yet familiar with Figma Make, you definitely should watch my video. I've linked it to you up there. It's a fantastic vibe coding opportunity. It's the ability to prompt engineer within Figma. And slowly Make is going to move and become part of Figma Sites so that when you're creating a site, you can leverage AI to build your site and create more elements. That's definitely a fantastic direction that Figma is taking. Another amazing feature that is not yet in the beta is the CMS. For those of you who are not familiar, CMS means a content management system. It's what allows a client to manage their website. People utilize WordPress or sites like Shopify to manage their online stores or their business. They would be able, within the content management system, to make changes to their content. So a lot of designers are working independently as entrepreneurs, and in the past, we could only design a site for a client in Figma. But just imagine the future now. You don't have to just design it. You can publish their website and give them access to the CMS to edit the content. That is definitely fantastic for people who are designing independently, not just within companies, especially for small businesses and small products. Next is the site settings. And this is where you customize your site, including the title, including the different details for your analytics ID, the favicon, which is a small icon that you see inside the browser, social sharing, and also the ability to add some kind of custom code for accessibility and other features. Figma is saying they will add so many more features here, but this can be customized before publishing your site. In the middle here, this is my same canvas like Figma design. This is where things are available. But what's amazing about Figma Sites is the moment you either use a template or even get started from an empty template in Figma Sites, they give you a default section. And why is it a section? Because it contains all the different responsive sizes. So you will see a desktop, a tablet, a mobile. You even have the ability to add any custom sizes that you want. On the right side, you have the same property panel that is available in a design file. And this property panel is always dependent on what you have selected. So for now, this section with the home page is selected, so I see things related to it. If I were to select this frame, for example, now all the properties change to reflect what is related to this frame. You're familiar with this if you're a designer, and this is the interaction section where in Figma design, this is similar to prototyping. The moment I select the interaction with nothing selected on my canvas, you will see all the interactions available in this template, how things are connected together. And this whole section is something that you can preview here. I can see here there's a name, there is work. So if I click on the work section, it's already connected for me. It takes me to that work page in the file. This is the about page. It's also connected. Now, in this preview, you can see at the very top, you can change the responsive size you're working with, whether it's mobile or tablet. You can also change the width if you had a custom width that you wanted to see or a custom height by using the handles or by typing in a different number here, a custom number. At the very top, this refresh icon, it reloads your preview for you so you can start at the very beginning. Same thing with this restart icon. And you can see on the tablet, my menu is actually looking like this. I don't love the look of this template. I mean, things are already created. We may use it as a reference for us to learn how to do things. But let's see, how does Figma Site work for us if we already took the time to invest in a portfolio design and we want to execute it directly from Figma? Those of you who have been following my channel for some time now, we've been preparing to create an outstanding UX portfolio for you. In one of my latest videos, I've interviewed 4 recruiters to give you the most direct tips and what all you can do to make your portfolio stand out from the competition. I highly recommend that you watch that if you're in the process of building a portfolio, because you want to know all the information architecture that you want to create for yourself. As you can see from the icon on the very top, this is a Figma design file. I've created this design as I was exploring creating a new portfolio for myself. So I have a footer, a header, a testimonial section, a project section, and ideally, because I've invested in this design, I want to take it and migrate it to Figma Sites. Mind you, before Figma Sites was released, I was exploring how we can use different code-based plugins in Figma to actually transform our portfolio to code. And I've explored things like Anima. If I were to turn on dev mode, you will see this is linked to my Anima plugin. They have paid account, but in collaboration with dev mode, we would have been able to get all this wonderful code and transfer it into files to create a live website. Now, this would have been much more tedious, and it would have required you to have some kind of engineering and coding background just to know how to place things. But with Figma Sites, you don't have to do any of this. You can actually create in Figma and have Figma Sites translate all that code for you without the need for any external plugin or Figma to Framer, Figma to Webflow. All these in-between steps have been taken away. And I think this is the incredible power of Figma Sites. It is created for designers who are comfortable in Figma, and even for developers or other product managers who are familiar with Figma, but you don't need to have an engineering background. Figma will do that work on your behalf. To show you how to do this from scratch, I'm going to copy, Command A, I'm going to copy all the content on this frame. And let's start with a new file from Figma Sites. We're going to start with a blank site. And you will see the moment we click blank site, Figma starts with a section for us that contains responsive sizes. So before pasting my content, I'm going to add one more tablet size. If you needed any custom sizes, let's say you're working with a library like Tailwind CSS, you may want to match their breakpoints. Now I will come here on the desktop and click Command V. And now, even though I've pasted my content only on the desktop, Figma Sites has automatically taken all my content and customized it on the different device sizes. But let's look closer and see what happened. And in order to see all my content in the canvas before going to the preview, I would like to expand this section to fit my content. Unfortunately, right now, this doesn't happen automatically. So what I have to do is select the frame itself and expand the frame for the section to follow. The other thing that you notice that is not working is it's not looking that great on my tablet and mobile. So why? Because those components need to be created as variants that are responsive. And that's not something that I have done yet with this particular portfolio. So how to do this? If you want something to act responsively on different devices, what you need to do is you need to create, let's say we're working with this hero image that I want to be big on desktop and then shrink in different sizes for mobile and tablet. So you would have to create this as a component set, and you will see if I select this component set, it has 3 variants: desktop, tablet, and mobile. If you're not familiar with component sets, I have so many other videos. I'm linking one for you up here that will show you how to create variants and variables. That's more advanced prototyping in Figma. So carrying that same concept in a component set, if you name the different variants similar to your device sizes, then Figma would recognize and change them. So to show you an example of this, I'm going to drag an instance from this component set. So clicking Option and drag, I have this one here. I'm clicking Command X because I want to replace it on my desktop and see if Figma will recognize to do that for tablet and mobile. So I'm clicking Command Shift R to replace, not just to paste. And Figma did recognize it, and you will see it took my tablet here. This is the variant for tablet. How do you know this is the one? Because if I click on it, you will see this is a variant of intro section, and it's actually for tablet. But for some reason, I had to move it slightly to adjust it on my desktop. And you can always Command plus to zoom in closer. For mobile, my intro section is right here, but it moved it very much to the side. So ideally, I want to move it right here to fit on my mobile device. So while creating these components, I noticed that I would rather do this inside Figma Design properly, create the component set, and then bring them to Figma Sites. If you want it to work with your own custom design, you need to make sure that every single element that you create in your site has to be accounted for responsively and created as a component set with variants for the different screen sizes. That's how it will work. Okay, now that we've adjusted this first hero image, let's preview how this looks like. I can do this either by clicking on the preview button here on the very top or by the preview button on the page, the section. I can see that there's so many enhancements that I can make. But mind you, the fact that this could be a published website is already super helpful because it's starting from my custom design that I want. I have my navigation the way I want it. I have my footer and my projects in between. So now let's see if we can add some nice animation to our project. And to do that, we want to use the interaction feature. So going to interactions, so I want to add a small effect on this arrow right here, just something that will attract my user to scroll in once they come to my portfolio. Let's see what we can do. So to add an interaction, you select the object that you want to add the interaction on, and you come here to the interactions panel. You can click the plus button to add an interaction. And you will see I've added an interaction here. You can select the trigger. So once this item is in view, this is the trigger. Let's try slide in top, and to exit, slide out. And you have the ability to go further here and add the details. Honestly, I'm not sure. We have to explore to know what all these things do. So for now, I'm gonna close it, hit the play button, and see how that looks. Wow, okay. This is actually the desired effect that I want. Just to see it once again, because it was super quick. To refresh the prototype, do you see? It's sliding out. Now let me see if I can make this slightly slower. Coming here back to the interaction. So it's revealing it and it's sliding in from top. What I would like to do is delay that. So right now the duration is 600. Let me see if I can make that 1600. Okay? And I will delay it. Like I want it to start slightly later, not as soon as the user loads. So maybe I'm gonna add 30 milliseconds. Clicking on the preview, you can see it's much more slower and noticeable. I'm gonna replay that. Okay, that's a nice animation. Other interactions that we can use are like, let's say, hover effects. For example, this testimonial section right here. If you were to hover on this testimonial, I want it to become slightly bigger. So let's add a hover effect. So I want it to scale, become slightly bigger. So I'll move this to 1.5 when they hover on it so they can read it better. And the transition is an ease in. With the duration, you can specify that just like how we do it in prototyping, but this is more detailed. Let's play that and see. Now that we've explored some interactions, and of course, there's a lot of possibilities. There's so many things you can do. You can add different interactions like parallax, conditional, hover effects, press effects, reveal, like you've seen, so many different things. There is even a play option, which could create very fun animations. So a lot of this is worth exploring. Maybe I will do a second video where we can dig deeper into the interactions themselves, especially once this is out of beta. But for now, I think we've explored this enough to be ready to hit that publish button. When you're ready, this is where you hit the publish button. This is where you would have your site name. Right now it says Namajarish Portfolio, which is the name of my website. I'm gonna keep that. That's great. Status. And then there's 3 issues to review, so you will see if there's something that needs fixing, it will alert you to that. For now, I'm just gonna try to fix these issues really quick or update them just so that we can publish our site. Great. Now that we've resolved them, I'm ready to hit publish. There you have it. Now we have a site URL that I can actually copy. And right here on my Google Chrome, this is my site. You can see there's quite a few issues because of the way I created this, the auto layout not being centered, but you can see some of the behaviors that we created are still here. You can view the projects. The arrow is moving the way we designed it. We have some animations on the buttons. Definitely there's so much more that I would like to do, but this is already fantastic. Can you imagine? A year ago, we couldn't do this. Even a few months ago, I was exploring the many million ways, whether it's a plugin or moving to Framer, moving to Webflow, just so we can convert our design to code. And now it's right here accessible to us. I hope you found this tutorial on Figma Sites useful. If you have any more questions or things you want to learn about, please feel free to leave me a comment. In a world where technology is changing so fast every day, it is so critical that we stay relevant. That's why I'm constantly learning and trying to be up to date on the cutting edge of things that are coming out. And I want to share that knowledge with you so that we are constantly relevant. We're constantly growing as designers in a world that is progressing super fast. We don't want to be replaced by AI. We want to optimize it and use it to our convenience and advantage.